All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the news desk. This one for Comic Nation TV here at INeedComics.com, part of the Pop Culture Network. And we're looking at the final week of the rebirth of the DC Universe. And I must say, this week does come across a little bit better than last week. Last week was very disappointing. And this one, I have to say, is a lot better. There's still some work to be done, fixing some of the problems of the DC Universe, but for the most part, I was happy with this week. So let's start out with the books, first of all, that I really enjoyed. And that's going to be starting with Flash. Now, the Flash, of course, was the linchpin. Flashpoint is what set off this whole change in the DC Universe. And there are some changes to his book. He is, of course, no longer with Iris. She is the reporter, and he's still hot for her, but they are not together, even though you kind of get the feeling that they want to be. But with everything else that's going on for Flash right now, he's once again framed for murder, which I'm pretty sure they did when they relaunched his book the last time. Although this time it is pretty interesting. They've done it in a different way. Not so much framed for murder, it just looks like he's responsible for it. It's kind of a misunderstanding sort of thing, but overall I really enjoyed the tone, the pace, and the artwork of this book. And in fact, it's basically a continuation of the tone, artwork, and pace of the last series, which was fantastic. So if you were a Flash fan before, you are still going to be today. Next up, we have Blackhawks. Now, I gotta expect, I know the Blackhawks is the World War II team, and I read their old series that came out, back in the 90s. And I was a fan of them, and I expected to enjoy this book. What I didn't realize is that this was a completely new Blackhawk team. To be honest, I just didn't pay attention. Just Blackhawks are coming out. I'm going to read that. Well, as it turns out, this is a new Blackhawk team set in the modern day. And I have to say that the best comparison I can make is that this is DC's G.I. Joe team. And if that's enough right there to get you hot and bothered and want to buy a copy, then you're going to really enjoy this book. If you were a fan of some of the other series like Checkmate, with the secret government, metahuman special teams, that's kind of what you're getting out of this. Some of them seem to not have metahuman powers. Some may seem to have a touch of metahuman powers, but they don't really know it yet. But there's a lot of that straight up action G.I. Joe style. Everyone has code names. It's a lot of fun. Definitely worth checking out. And Superman. This was the big week. Superman's relaunch. The look at how his life is now. And of course, we knew some of the changes. He's not with Lois anymore. And what makes it even worse is she has a different boyfriend. So she's canoodling with some other fella in this particular book. And the big change really here, though, is that the Daily Planet, they destroy the Daily Planet building in this book because they have a new Daily Planet building. Morgan Edge has bought out the Daily Planet to make it part of his publishing empire. His Galaxy Broadcasting Service, GBS, is now rebranded to be part of the Daily Planet. So Daily Planet is now online, on TV, and in print. And, you still have Perry White, you still have Jimmy Olsen, you still have all of that kind of stuff. In fact, no, wait, I take that back. I don't know if Jimmy Olsen actually appeared in this issue. He was in Action Comics #1, but now that I think about it, maybe that's a mystery for the future. But one of the main things is they mention that Superman has been gone for a while, and now he's back. They don't really explain, what happened. We know he appeared with Justice League 5 years ago in that Justice League book, so apparently something happens in Justice League, or maybe they're just kind of playing off the whole, New Krypton storyline, just kind of saying it happened, but skipping over it. I don't know. We'll just have to see how that unfolds. Now, the next 3 books we're going to take a look at are books that I honestly didn't expect to like. I just read them because I'm trying to read all of the #1s, and I actually really enjoyed these books a lot. The first one, this surprised the heck out of me, was iVampire. I really wanted nothing to do with this book. The cover alone I hate the cover. Okay, let me just say that. It looks like some sort of bad Twilight thing. But this one actually has a nice kind of Vertigo feel to it. And I know a lot of people are upset with changes happening with Vertigo, with Hellblazer and Swamp Thing coming back to the main DC universe, but this has that dark feel to it. Basically, werewolves, vampires, whatever they exist, they've always kind of been in the shadows, and now that superhumans are starting to appear all over the place, they mentioned Green Lantern and Superman, all that kind of stuff, they're starting to realize that, hey, they're going to have to start a war against the humans now and take them out, or these superpowered things are just going to start taking over the planet and destroying all the vampires. And so, of course, there's one holdout who doesn't believe that they should take over. Apparently none of the others agree with him, and so it sets up him, taking on the rest of the vampire world, so to speak, as the superheroes are emerging. Really interesting. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Next up, we have Teen Titans. Now, I really wanted to hate this book. I really didn't like the way they changed Red Robin at all. Of course, I'm not a huge fan of the idea of the change with Superboy before I actually read Superboy. Once I read Superboy, though, I really enjoyed what they did with that character, and I thought maybe Teen Titans might have something going for it, and in fact, it does. The same group who wants to pull out Superboy at the end of Superman 1 and make him part of the super team. Of course, they're coming after the rest of the characters now. Red Robin is really your anchor for this book that talks about him being a former protege of Batman, being the former Robin. Talks about Red Robin not really being his name, it's just a code name, he doesn't really like it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we see Kid Flash, he's impulsive, hard to pin down to anything, ADD riddled, which would make sense for a Kid Flash. And we see Wonder Girl in this book. So overall, I didn't expect to enjoy this book a whole lot, going into it, but reading it, I did enjoy it. It plays well into Superboy, and overall, that's one I will also be sticking with. Now, the final one in this group of books that I didn't expect to like and really enjoyed is Aquaman. Now, a lot of you guys, I make jokes about Aquaman. Who likes Aquaman? No one likes Aquaman. Aquaman's worthless, blah, 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 blah. There's always someone who chimes in and says, hey, I like Aquaman. Well, the thing is, that's exactly what this book does. Aquaman goes in, proves he's a hero, shows he's brave, he's strong, he's intelligent, and of course there are jokes about, hey, you're on dry land, you need a drink of water. He goes to a restaurant, he gets fish and chips, and people are like, oh, you can't eat fish, you talk to fish. What does it feel like to be worthless? It just plays into that whole thing so well. This, honestly, Aquaman #1 is my book of the week. Do whatever it takes to get your hands on a copy of Aquaman. You're really going to like this character. This is one of my favorite reboots of the entire DC 52. And I'm an Aqua fan. So all you Aquaman fans out there, you got to convert, okay? I'm right there with you. Now, the next 3 books we're going to take a look at, these books are okay, but nothing really special. First up, Justice League Dark. This has got Zatanna, Shade the Changing Man, Deadman. They all make appearances here. And basically, Enchantress, she's somewhere going crazy. The Justice League comes in. You see Cyborg, Wonder Woman, Superman trying to stop her. They can't. She's too powerful, too magical. Zatanna realizes she's got to do something about it. She basically binds Batman and leaves him back at headquarters so that she can go out there. And they realize that, they're going to need some superhuman, superpowered people, and they're kind of being drawn together here to deal with the Enchantress. Again, it was okay, but just nothing really special. Maybe something will break out in the next couple issues. We'll have to wait and see. Green Lantern New Guardians. This one is, I'm not exactly sure where this plays out in the history of Green Lantern, but this basically is your reintroduction of Kyle Rayner. This shows Ganthet going out, finding him, making him a Green Lantern, and then for some reason, as soon as he does, all the other colors of the spectrum from the Green Lantern War decide that they also want to have Kyle Rayner, and so they start decommissioning other Red Lanterns, Star Sapphires, whatever, Sinestro Corps, pulling their rings off of them, decommissioning them, and flying towards Kyle Rayner, and suddenly he has all these rings trying to pop on his hands, and that, of course, upsets all the other members of the other teams, and he starts being attacked. So, It's an interesting setup. I know there are a lot of Kyle Rayner fans out there. You grew up reading Kyle Rayner. I was always a Hal Jordan fan because I always grew up reading Hal Jordan. But you wanted something interesting with him. It's one of those where you've got an interesting premise, but there's not really enough happening in the book. And the book needs a little more time and a little more attention in the next issue to try to explain some of these things, because otherwise there's just not really a whole lot there. And then All-Star Western. This is basically Jonah Hex being brought into the main DC universe. He's making his way into Gotham City, and you're finding some of the founders of the Gotham elite back in the 1800s. And, again, for the most part, it's okay. It's just nothing special. The Jonah Hex book was known month after month for having these gritty, dark stories. They were a lot of fun, but they were also, bloody and edgy. And this loses a lot of that edge, and instead it plays off more as like a historical Gotham City piece, Gates of Gotham type of thing. It's okay, not spectacular. Now, the next 3 books I am going to just say you need to pass on. And the first one is actually kind of a shocker. It's Batman The Dark Knight. A lot of people looking forward to this series as one of the Batman books, but the problem is this one is pretty much style over substance. There's really not a whole lot of story here to like. There's dialogue, things happen, people go places, there's a breakout at Arkham Asylum, but none of it really seems to matter. It doesn't feel important, it's not really exciting. And the big main thing at the end is that you find that Two-Face has turned himself into Bane or Killer Croc or something. He's now hulked up, and he's now going to be a giant brute, I guess. Overall, just didn't dig it. Bad vibe, gonna pass on that one. Voodoo. Voodoo is one of the holdouts from the Wildstorm universe coming over to DC. Of course, this one made news because in this issue, she's a stripper, and there's a lot of Skinamax type of stuff, a lot of titillating scenes for you guys out there. And, the artwork is nice and whatever, but for the most part, the story is that someone has realized that she's an alien shapeshifter, and once they make her realize that, she freaks out, turns into an alien, and kills them, and leaves. That's your big story for Voodoo number 1. I just wasn't feeling it on this one, and all the strip club stuff like that just I don't know, felt cheesy and lame. Finally, Fury of Firestorm. Now, this one's kind of interesting, of course, because you've got Ronnie and Jason both here. They both turn into Firestorm. The Firestorm more or less that you know them as in the past. But on top of that, you get glimpses that there's this formula, whatever turns people into Firestorm. You see some of the other versions of Firestorm that have popped up over time, pictured in flashbacks. So there's more to it than that. And it could be interesting. They wanted some sort of problem with, Ronnie and Jason not getting along. And so, of course, they went with the obvious. One's white, one's black. And the black guy, of course, thinks that the white guy is racist. And so that actually makes the black guy racist. But no one acknowledges that the black guy is actually the racist because he's black. And apparently you can't be racist if you're black, even though he's the one who's completely racist against the white guy. So, what you end up with is basically 2 guys who can turn into Firestorm, and one you're told that you're not supposed to like, and one that you actually don't like, and then something happens and they both smash together, and when they smash together they create a new version of Firestorm, and this one is basically the Hulk, who's just brainless and furious and wants to smash things. So, I'm going to blame Gail Simone for ruining that one. Interesting premise, but going for the black-white thing was super lame, and the way they did it was just so hit you over the head blatantly with trying to make it racist that it ends up being racist in the wrong way. And so I'm done. Like, until they switch up the writers, figure out something else that they can do, I'm so long, Firestorm. Happy trails. So that's going to wrap it up for you guys this week. The really good books, Flash, Blackhawks, Superman, ones I didn't expect to like that were good, iVampire, Teen Titans, and of course, Aquaman. Do whatever you have to do to get a copy of Aquaman. That was quite frankly just the best thing I've read in a long time. And it may in fact be the best of the new 52. Not sure about that. I'm going to have to think about that one a little bit, but it very well could